A ninth scientist is now missing. Related to U.S. secret technology, UFOs, something doesn't seem right. Now, many are saying that this is indicative of some kind of conspiracy. Something is going on. And with all of these meteor sightings, UFO sightings, could it be that there is a great war in space happening right now? Maybe. Maybe it's just regular war. And these scientists are just key assets in U.S. military weapons programs. And the explosions we are seeing in the sky, or explosions, but streaking lights of strange objects, could just be conventional warfare. Maybe we just don't really know what's going on. Or, interestingly enough, got this video where Palmer Luckey of Anduril is being asked about UFOs. And he says, what if they're ancient breakaway civilizations? What? Indeed. What if thousands of years ago, when the Adam and Eve cataclysm occurred, a small faction were able to escape, maintaining advanced technologies? Oh boy. Well, as the story goes, my friends, you have every 6,500 or so years, there are some that believe the magnetic poles will start to flip, causing the Earth to change its rotation about 90 degrees. This would put Antarctica on the equator. I love all of these wild theories. Like Greater Earth is one of my favorite, that the 7 continents are actually a small ice-walled in slave portion of the greater planet of Atlantis and Tartaria. Yeah, probably not. But this theory is actually based on science, and it may be wrong, but there are some that believe that when the poles shift, the axis will tilt about 90 degrees. This will move all of the continents. The explanations for this come from woolly mammoths. They are found with undigested plant matter in their bellies despite being frozen solid. So how is that possible, some suggest? Some suggest that they were flash frozen, meaning the axis tilted and what was normally on the equator and warm shifted north, and now all of a sudden they were in a dark, cold polar region, and they froze relatively quickly. See, the point is, if there was ice everywhere, where is this plant matter coming from? Certainly not up way north. They don't have trees in the Arctic Circle. Interesting. Well, there is an idea that maybe before one of these cataclysms, when people began to notice what was happening, and there was an advanced civilization, perhaps Atlantis, perhaps Tartaria, that they got in a spaceship or an underground bunker, and they have since weathered the storm for thousands of years. What if, my friends, it's not a breakaway civilization, it is civilization? What if the powers that be, knowing that cataclysms like this will happen every several thousand years, built deep underground military bases for the purpose of preserving humanity during these crises? Several generations live deep underground, but technology substantially more advanced than we recognize exists. When the Great Purge happens and the water wipes everything away, the mud flood, whatever you want to call it, and humanity is wiped out in the flood, do they then wait? Then go up to the surface to reclaim territory. But the people that begin to emerge and rebuild are completely unaware of the true nature of our planet. Well, that'd be real crazy. And if that is the case, maybe it explains why these scientists are disappearing. Why it is that they say if you try to invent a hydrogen electric car, you disappear. If you discover anti-gravity technologies, you disappear. Could it be that this advanced Atlantean civilization, underwater, maybe, is stopping humanity on the surface from discovering this technology, which would advance them too much and put them out of control? Interestingly, I say this, my friends, there is a theory that Atlantis is deep underwater. Or that's the story, right? That Atlantis was a great city, and now it is underwater, and everyone's a fish. Or they can breathe underwater. I don't know. Then there's Tartaria, a great civilization that in the flood got wiped out. The flood waters recede, and there's layers of mud covering everything. The mud flood theory. I love it. It's fun, right? What if Atlantis didn't sink? What if the great Atlantean civilization just built an underground or underwater base or hybrid of this because a flood was coming and they knew it? Or what if they prepared for a flood? And so when the great flood happened, Atlantis is now underwater in an area that didn't used to be. And they say it sank under the waves. No, maybe the waves just engulfed it. It's fun, right? Here's a story from the Daily Mail. So let's dive into the news. But before we do, we get a great sponsor for you. It is wallet.rumble.com. Download the Rumble wallet. We fear that censorship may come back and debanking may come back. And we're already hearing crazy stories about people who've had their crypto seized off crypto exchanges because they didn't log in enough. Well, the wallet from Rumble is non-custodial, meaning no one can ban you. They can't take away your funds or your money. You got Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one spot. You can trade it with friends if you're doing transactions or whatever, and you can use it to tip your favorite creators like yours truly. So again, check out wallet.rumble.com or the link in the description below. Mystery surrounds the death of 9th scientist tied to U.S. secrets as disturbing pattern grows. Maybe we're just noticing this, right? We're following these stories. We're paying attention too much to things that we don't really need to. Michael David Hicks, a research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, passed away on July 30th at 59. But the cause of death was never made public. He worked at JPL from 98 to 2022. He's credited with publishing over 80 scientific papers. While there have been no public allegations of foul play, his case marks the 9th person with ties to America's space or nuclear secrets who died or mysteriously vanished. Now, I'm going to say this. Guys, he's 59. He's not the youngest of men. He's done his work. 59 is young to die. I mean, that's 79 is life expectancy. Interesting. It could just be that we're noticing more. It could just be that because we're focused on scientists dying or going missing, we're noticing every little old one who dies or goes missing. When in reality, it just may be reality. This is what happens. People get old and they die. Any career. I'm sure you can go look at any industry and be like, look at the strange amount of occurrences of deaths in the plumbing and pipe fitting industry. Strange, huh? The Daily Mail has reached out to NASA, Hicks' alma mater at the University of Arizona. Strangely, a series of online obituaries dedicated to Hicks did not mention any health issues. A similar situation unfolded after Mywalt's death in July. Maybe they're not dying. Maybe Atlantis is recruiting and saying, as we move forward with the next cataclysm about to occur, these scientists need to remain deep underground. Have you been following Ben Davidson's work? He talks quite a bit about the pole shift that's occurring. We may be facing a great cataclysm, some believe. Now, I don't know if that's the case, my friends, but I want to show you this video from Palmer Luckey of Anduril, where he explains about this ancient breakaway civilization. This is fun stuff. I do want to say this real quick, though. Join us at timcast.com if you want to support our work. Click join now. Get in our Discord community. It is greatly appreciated when you join because you will help make all of this work possible. Let me pull up this video, and I'll play this for you. This is Open-Minded Approach posting about Palmer Luckey, the founder of Anduril. You also know him from Oculus, saying that maybe this technology that we're seeing, these UFOs, aren't from the future. They aren't aliens. They're us from the past. Check this out.
So you don't think UAPs use optical camouflage?
I think that look, there's a lot that we don't understand about these vehicles and what they are, where or when they come from. But it is likely that whatever they are doing is a side effect or an artifact of what's going on. So like I've talked about this with people. They're like, well, how come like sometimes they're invisible in certain spectrums? And my point is, well, like what if they are not interacting with reality itself in a way you would expect? Like some of these things, you see them and they don't have any radar signature either. I don't know if that means they're cloaking themselves actively or if it means that just they do not exist even in the way that we think about
phased reality,
physical matter. I don't know if it's an active countermeasure so much as the nature of the thing itself. But
maybe the matter itself is phased in such a way that it can move through solid matter. And the reason why they're described as moving through water at 200 miles an hour is because they're actually phased and not making contact with that water.
Of course, there's so much that we don't know. My current working theory is that they come from the past. So
interesting. Okay.
Coming from the future is too hard. The physics just don't seem to work out. But if you think about it in a certain perspective, like there's a question of where they come from. Like, do they come from Earth? Do they come from nearby? Do they come from really, really far away? Wherever they come from, spatially, the question then is, okay, temporally, what is more likely, that they happen to have come from this particular instant in time, or the hundreds of millions or billions of years that existed prior to our existence? That could be true if they were just like waiting around and then came over, at some point. It could be the case if they are regularly surveying and have just been around for a long time. You could imagine a world where maybe the Earth hosted advanced civilizations a billion years ago and we just don't even know about them, and these are the remnants of that. I'm not betting on any of these. It's just that wherever they come from geographically, there's a very, very long tail of time. And also there's ways to travel forward through time very quickly. If I create a very strong gravity distortion, I can have subjective time inside of that bubble passing very, very slowly relative to the time racing by outside of it. And so it's very believable that something from the distant past could come to our present. It's not really believable that something can come from the future back into our present. So that's my bet, is basically, given that there's been a lot more time before now than now, just probabilistically speaking, I think it's likely these things have been around for a very long time, and either spent a long time coming to us, or to themselves, subjectively, not much time at all.
Oh.
That's it. Look, I'm not saying I know what's up. That's just my.
Not saying I know, but I'm
not saying
some ideas.
I'm not saying I know what's up. I'm saying that is my current guess.
Okay.
Based on what I know.
Interesting. You said this was your most underrated product. So why?
Sorry. And last thing is, like, the real bet here is, I don't think any of these UAPs, I think it's unlikely they were manufactured or created like within the last few years. That seems very unlikely. I think they've either been around for a very long time, stored for a very long time, created a very long time ago, or traveled from the distant past into our present. Well, see, that's impossible to say. This is the theory, of course, like, that there's these undersea alien bases, that these things are destroyed there. There's an out-of-print book called the UFOs and USOs of the Santa Catalina Channel, and it's all about how people have seen these things that have gone into and out of the ocean in extremely similar ways over the course of decades. And so, like, it's believable. But of course, being stored on Earth does not necessarily mean they came from here, nor does it not. But I would bet that these things are not recently manufactured. I suspect they've been around for either a long time or maybe a really, really long time.
How does that make you feel about our technological superiority?
I think the UAP stuff and our technological development live in.
With all due respect to this nice young lady trying to talk to Palmer Luckey about the nuances here in military technology, she does her best. I have a lot of questions. I should reach out to Palmer. I'd love to have a discussion about this. And it's kind of silly, of course, because we don't know. But think about it this way. We know that there's it's an excursion. I believe it's called excursion. The North Pole has shifted dramatically. It is now over Siberia, a strong deviation from where it used to be. And it makes you wonder about Trump's plans. It makes you wonder about Putin's plans, the war with Iran, Greenland, why Trump wants Greenland. It's all very interesting, I would say. Maybe something big is coming. Maybe there is going to be a cataclysmic event that everybody is gearing up for. Indeed, I don't know. But imagine this. With this excursion happening, which is, I'm going to pull this up because I want to prove this to you guys, right? Pole shift excursion. This is not pseudoscience or conspiracy theory. This is literally happening. So let me grab this Earth magnetic pole shift, sunscreen, blah, blah, blah. Let me find pole shift Siberia. I want to get something latest, right? Here we go. AAPG, whatever that is. There's a million one articles like this. Recent research tries to explain why the magnetic North Pole is going wild. They say Earth's magnetic field is generated by the motion of liquid iron in its core, blah, blah, blah. Unless you're a migratory bird, a sea turtle, or a geomagnetist, you probably pay a little attention to Earth's magnetic field. And yet we know little details about these processes, blah, blah, blah. The earliest positioning of the magnetic pole dates to 1831 by James Clark Ross. This was followed by direct measurements of the North magnetic pole. In recent decades, global models of magnetic field have used measurements made by a network of ground observatories. Records show the magnetic North Pole has been moving from the Canadian Arctic to Siberia Initially, it was shifting at slow speeds of 1 to 15 kilometers per year, but it sped up to 50 to 60 kilometers per year from 1990 to 2005. In 2017, it crossed the international date line. Measurements from the past 4 years indicate a slowdown of about 35 kilometers per year, but these measurements are still higher than the recorded historic rates. An imminent magnetic reversal. Is Earth transitioning to a magnetic reversal? Hard to say. Well, the theory is this. We don't know. Magnetic reversal happens. We are, according to the scientific records, overdue for a magnetic reversal. So let's have some fun with it. What happens? I don't know. North becomes south, and then we go, hey, look at that. Our instruments get all screwed up. The more extreme case, when the pole shift happens, our magnetosphere weakens, exposing us for about a week or two to massive solar radiation, frying all of our electronics and sending everyone back to the Stone Age. Yikes. What will I do without my air conditioning? Heavens me. The next big theory is that when this does happen, the Earth will actually tilt as well. Where we are in the United States will actually shift into the southern hemisphere. It won't change too much of the temperature, to be honest, because of that flip. But Antarctica will move to the equator, where all of a sudden it will be blasted by heat, which will cause ice to begin melting. Indonesia has glaciers. That's right. And I didn't actually know this until I interviewed Ben Davidson. And he said it on it just simply like, well, if you look at the Indonesian glaciers, and I was like, wait, the Indonesian glaciers? Like, yes, in the mountains. Interesting. In the mountains where they're not going to accumulate great heat, less likely to melt, they still exist. It means that Indonesia likely was once covered with ice, maybe during the Ice Age. What if the powers that be are preparing for this event? That's why they've been building deep underground bases. We learned this from Tucker Carlson's show. The reason why they claim climate change is happening is because, one, we are seeing a dramatic climate change. They're blaming us so that they can drive our economy to creating alternative energy sources, not to stop oil production, to help oil production. After a great cataclysm, when we emerge from our emergency bunkers, we'll need to start pumping oil. How do you pump oil, though, with no electrical grid? You got to start from scratch, and that's going to suck. Unless you have the stored oil to kickstart the construction of wind turbines and solar panels so that you can get energy in a singular location to increase oil production and kick off a reconstruction. Could that be it? Or what if there already is an advanced civilization that has access to these vehicles? The things we are seeing have existed forever. See, when these great cataclysms happen, they build an underground base, they go live there, the cataclysm wipes everything out, humans start to rebuild, but the original human civilization exists to this day deep underground. They come up, they control affairs, but nobody knows what they're involved in. Maybe this is why there are people who believe that at the North Pole there is a big hole that goes into the Earth. Atlantis? A lot of conspiracy theories. You bring them all together, you get a crazy story. Or, maybe it's just the internet and people believe what they want to believe, and there may be something out there, but it's a lot of hubbub. Who knows? Adam and Eve theory, it's called. That every 6,500 years, a great cataclysm wipes everything out, and then humans struggle to rebuild. Maybe. But wouldn't powerful individuals know about this potentiality? I mean, we got millionaires and billionaires building bunkers as it is. Wouldn't they have done this? Wouldn't they have known if it did happen in the past? If this cycle happens over and over again, or is this the first time? Oh boy. So I love Palmer Luckey saying maybe they're from the past, because maybe what's actually happening is that these advanced craft are just human tech. And we think it's advanced because we don't realize we've been reset over and over again. Maybe our history as we know it is all manufactured. Who knows? One thing I can say is when you look at the geopolitical affairs that are currently going on, and you look at the actions of the millionaires and the billionaires, it certainly seems like they are acting as though a cataclysm is coming. Not an exaggeration. All these ultra-powerful people are building deep underground bunkers. Why? Well, some people say it's because if you can, why not? If you're rich and you got nothing else to do, why not do it? And let's be real, wouldn't it be cool to have a secret underground base where you play video games and hang out? I mean, the ultimate man cave, right? Well, I suppose for those that have the money, building a house and having a mountain base or mountain bunker just It's fun to do if you can, I guess. I mean, like, why not, right? You know, there's a place called Fortitude Ranch. I am a small investor, and they've got underground bunkers, and some people buy out like a bed for a couple $100. Not even the wealthiest people in the world want to and they want to have these things. In the event something does go down, at least they'll have a bed, right? So, aliens, missing scientists, we can come up with 1,000,001 reasons. The aliens are stopping our scientists from discovering too much. Or maybe the Atlantean civilization is recruiting them because the next cataclysm is coming. Maybe. Maybe AI is secretly taking people out who might obstruct its expansion. Let's have fun with it. I don't know, man. It was just fun. Did you have fun? I'm going to leave it there. You tell me what you think's happening. Smash the like button, share the show, and all that good stuff. Stick around. More to come throughout the day. We'll see you all in the next segment.